How's it going? It's been a long while. I'm getting over my third bloody cold in 8 weeks. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. So just trying to grab moments between playing live, working, and to have ears at work and to have sessions where I'm not coughing all the way through. So we'll see how we do. But what is it? 7.0, 1.7? What's the version? I forget. But 1.7, 1.7. There's a new operating system for the Rhythm. Somebody, I forget who it was, messaged me. Very excited. Obviously, I completely missed it actually for the first day. And yeah, man, wow. Like what an upgrade. There's some videos out there, right? There is always videos out there on like what it is and how it works and stuff, and I'm not particularly into doing tutorial videos because I like making music and just hanging out. So but I'm going to I wanted to do something that just sort of explores the bulk of the machines that have been available and the upgrades that are available. The brightness, you can turn the bloody brightness down. Finally. I never thought that was going to happen. That's been late night sessions without the lights on. It just kills my eyes. And I digress a bit, but my God, like having a light that constantly reminds you that it's being played is just ridiculous. So I'm kind of really happy that they've put that in there. Just all the updates are just really, really good. Really, really good. I didn't expect half of them, which is really cool. So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, I wanted to kind of do something that was at least sort of exploring some of the different machines, some of the different things that have been improved, and also kind of make something that sounds good, which is, I don't know, trying to use lots of new things just because they're new in a track that sounds good is really difficult, and it's arguably almost certainly not the way to make music at all. So I've kind of had a few passes at kind of making something and kind of fell short. But during that, I realized that I'd actually done my calibration wrong. So like one of the things you have to do when you update it is there's a new calibration thing that Elektron have done that I believe helps it sort out sort of tuning and whatnot for different temperatures, which is really cool, but also sorts out, reconfigures or recalibrates, I guess, the new updates. So, and I kind of did it wrong. So, I knew how to do it right, but I just didn't do it right because I had a shower. So you're meant to like leave it on for a couple of hours and then turn it off for 20 minutes and then run your calibration. So I left it on for a couple of hours, turned it off, had a shower, and then like an hour later I was like, oh, well, that's probably fine. But it wasn't. But what I learned was I had some kind of tuning issues with the toms. They weren't kind of going high enough, and it was getting to like what have we got here? It was getting to sort of like this. It goes up to 63 now, so it's minus 64 plus 63 because you've got the 0 as well. And it was getting to 36, and beyond that point, it wasn't tuning. So, and it also seemed to go really low. Like it goes much lower now, which is amazing. So the pitch is like more extreme, but it was getting to like speaker flapping low. Like no designer of this machine would ever design it to be that low. That would be ridiculous. So done a quick calibration. But the cool thing was when I redid the calibration, I was expecting it to last like quite a few hours like it did the first time, and it just done those tunings. It was like the XD tunes or whatever. It just did 4 of them and then we're done. So it's pretty cool that it recognizes, hey, you've messed this up or something's not quite right, and it sorts it out, which is kind of comforting. Should anything be kind of like slightly odd in your machine if you have one, or with myself, yeah, quickly run a calibration, and if it's pretty fine, it should be a pretty quick process. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, aside from the brightness, there's loads of new stuff in here. The thing I'm kind of really enjoying a lot is the Euclidean sequencer, which is very cool. For those of you, who's probably not many, but there might be a few out there that followed a blog I did a long time ago called Monologue, that was kind of basically doing Nord modular, the G1 Nord modular creations like every single day, and then just kind of uploading these sketches. And that kind of went on to be a lot of the kind of foundation for the label that we run. Taught me loads of things with the Nord modular, but within that, I really like using the Logic modules. So basically the way they work is you instead of like, it's got like the modular's got like built-in sequences and stuff that you can kind of sequence, put in like you could with the rhythm here, like on the steps. But the sequencer in the modular is quite a lot of CPU, because there's a CPU limit within it. And basically using these Logic ones just basically send triggers, and you could send the triggers on however many pulses per whatever, and it would do divisions as well. So you could say like, you could chain them together and say, I want this trigger to be this many, and then I want divisions of that to be this many. So any of you who've done modular synthesis will probably be quite familiar with that. And a Euclidean sequencer, although not exactly the same as that, because you can't kind of chain off of things, you can't have triggers off of triggers, but the idea of just being able to say like, this is how many steps I want to be equally distributed among this length, and then you've kind of got like a second one that you can say, I want like for this one, for example, I've got a length of 4 and I've got 1 trigger, so it's on the start. And then if I wanted, a second trigger, I can just put like, I want 2 more triggers, and then it will kind of add them, and you can offset them and stuff. So just kind of having that flexibility with a few encoders and not having to actually program in any steps is really, really cool. So I've been really enjoying that. So like all of this is like Euclidean stuff, all different lengths, like 4 and 3 and 4 and 7, 4, 16, 12, 3. So loads of different lengths here. Excuse me. And also you can still do like all the trick stuff on these steps, even though they're pink. Pink's cool as well. I'm really digging the pink stuff. So you can kind of say like, yeah, like for, I can't remember which one it was. One of these was 16. And then you can have like, I can't remember which one it is, but you could basically say I want a step to be every 16, but then I want it to still be like once, like only play every third cycle or something. So you can still kind of do probabilities and stuff on there, which is just super powerful. And then obviously like you could quickly change the length and you get an equal distribution of those steps. So like, if you had like 4 steps and then you stretch it out, it's going to be quite big spaces, and then you reduce the length and you've got that 4 clustered up in really tight measures. So you can kind of create just interesting patterns with sounds, which is really cool. Another thing I found, you can like copy paste, as you'd expect with Elektron products, you can copy paste the Euclidean steps as well. So that's really neat, to be able to kind of use sounds that work well in one kind of pattern, but like grab the sequence from another pattern or another sound. So just, it's a lot more like, I don't know, it just feels a lot more like the Nord modular felt like you set it up and you leave it, and then the rhythm feels like you have to program everything, and that's always been a bit of a struggle with me. You have to spend loads of time like working on it, whereas the Euclidean kind of approach is just like turn some dials and see what happens. And for any of you who've listened to me rabbit on the rubbish I come out with, that's really cool, just turning dials and seeing what happens, listening to your ears and just sort of nudging stuff in place, as opposed to like being all fucking ego and knowing what you want, right? There's some kind of there's some and/or logic stuff in here which I forget what it is, but generally I've not found that massively useful yet, but it's there, I guess. Like I'm probably going to try and work it out. So to find useful, the page thing, there's a cool page thing where you can do like separate loops. I've kind of played around with that, but again, I don't know if I'd use that much. I don't know. Kind of feels quite good that you could have a group of patterns that you want to, like a sequence that you want to progress into another section without having to have multiple sequence across what would normally be the 16 sequences. You can have like variations beyond the fills within one sequence, which is quite cool. If you do sort of live jams like I do, I don't want to have to like copy paste all across different steps. So I'm going to probably use Page for that maybe. But also, the main thing that I've really liked is it just sounds better, like subjectively better. Like it does sound like, I don't know, like they've definitely added loads of features to the machines that were already in there, which is pretty cool. So, and also some stuff I was like, did they have that there before? Like, I think they did, like the cymbal. I forget which one this is. The Psy Ride. But it just, I don't know, like there's something, they've done something, they've tweaked it, and it feels a lot more what it felt like they were originally trying to go for, which was this kind of almost hybrid 909 808 sort of palette and workflow with a bit of an MPC kind of like thrown in. But it never sounded like that. It was for me one of the big struggles with this machine for the first time. I was like, it seems to want me to think, it wants to convince me it's these other machines, but it's not sounding like them. It's not sounding as good. And it was just little things that were just kind of got in the way. Clicks at the start of sounds, which I believe, like clicks at the start of like filter envelopes, which I believe they fixed. So those ridiculous heavy click sounds have gone, which is cool, because there's plenty of ways you can make clicks. So that's really, really neat. I think it was like if you had like a tight filter settings and high envelopes or something, you just could not get rid of that click. And if you want to drive stuff a lot on sort of low filters, that click was like much louder, so it was really, really difficult to do that. And it used to hammer into the delays quite a lot, which is kind of a pain in the ass. So that doesn't seem to happen anymore. The tuning of things seems much tighter. The bass drum's got some little tweaks on it, but largely it's pretty subtle change, so that's cool. The toms seem just to be a bit more 808-esque, which is cool. The what's this thing called? The HH Lab, the hi-hat lab. Very excited about this. So one of the reasons it's taken me, apart from being sick and busy, of getting a video done, is because I've been wanting to try to recreate 808 hats like perfectly, because they were using 6 oscillators, but I always thought they were kind of modulated together. So I was trying to work, they were like square waves that were particular frequencies trying to find those frequencies online, my God, really difficult. I don't think I found like quite a few different maybes, and none of them sound quite the same. Obviously these aren't really square waves as such. They seem like when you turn them right down, so like to 1 or 0, they're like already bandpass, maybe they're maybe already bandpass or high pass, so they've already got some filtering in them, and then it looks like you just create a mix with them. So although I've been using a bandpass on them as well, just to kind of make it a bit cleaner, I guess. So yeah, it's been really difficult to try and get them to sound exactly like 808 hats, which, like I really love certain 808 hats, so I was kind of keen to sort of explore that. However, they sound really good, so I'm not too fussed. It's kind of like which type of 808 do you want, because they all kind of sound different. I'm pretty sure my 808, thinking back to when I was a teenager, never sounded good. I probably why I sold it. But yeah, this sounds really, really cool. And the other thing I found, if you can see here, right, I've stacked up. So like if you stack them up so they're the same frequency, it does sound different. It kind of creates more resonant peak or partial within the frequency spectrum. So you'd think having the same numbers wouldn't make a difference. It does, and it kind of puts a more prominent sort of frequency area that just changes it almost changes the resonances or the attack almost that you notice primarily across that hi-hat sound. So yeah, that's been really cool, because obviously these are quite, well, not obviously, but they are, this is like the frequency ranges and it goes all the way up. So there's quite a lot of places you can put these dials, and it's probably unlikely you're going to put them in the same bloody space, but I'd recommend having a try on that, because you can get some pretty crazy sounds out of it. Yeah, if you're into designing your hats or whatnot. So I've been really enjoying that. What else? Christ, I don't know. There was something else. The snare thing, the new snare drum, the acoustic snare drum. It's very 707 sounding, I thought. Like it's kind of, as is the kick drum, which I don't think I'm using on this one. No, I'm not. I think because Silky has got something new in it, it sounded a bit different. Also, actually, I think Bass Drum Sharp has a new square wave in it, so they've kind of tweaked pretty much. It feels like they've tweaked everything, and they've blatantly mentioned, oh, we've also done these ones with new files. But I think it feels like they all sound a bit different to me. Maybe my machine just needed calibrating, I don't know. But yeah, there's like the acoustics kick and snare that sounds sort of 707, 505 kind of world, which I'm really pleased with that, because the digital kind of what I would call like a digital kick drum, and I'm kind of referencing that sort of like 80s digital drum machine. It's a really good sound. You hear that a lot in techno music. The stuff that's a little bit off kilter, I guess. A good friend of mine, Tony, used to use distorted digital kicks all the time. It used to sound so industrial. A lot of industrial music used it. Like big Depeche Mode fan, and they would use sort of similar sort of sounds. Old Emu sort of kicks and stuff, so Fairlight kicks. I really love that sound. So the fact that's now in the rhythm as a sculptable kind of machine is really cool. It seems like they've called, like, this is the acoustic snare, and I'm presuming imp is like impression, as a guess, I suppose, but it feels like it's a digital sort of bite, like a digital snippet, a sample that they're just hammering, and it feels it does deviate a little bit, but that might just be the analog circuitry around it, I don't know, but it sounds cool. Christ, there's loads of stuff. Yeah, it's really neat. So excuse me. So I guess like the stuff I've got going in here, what have I got? I've got this, the bass tom. I've got this kind of clicky kick drum, which is the BD Silky, just kind of clicking around the background, using its own timing as this one is. So, and there's kind of loads of hiss stuff going on there. I'm not using the compressor at all in a compressed way, but I have been using it. I'm jumping around a bit here, but this is exciting for me. You can use it as a wet dry mix, which is so bloody obvious, but I never thought about it. So if you it works with the mix either way, but the level's easier to control if you put it into the compressor mix and then just whack the threshold off, or like real high, and you can have a bit more control on the mud, but to have that level. But if I turn this down right, and then I can turn up all the other sounds, you can hear what I mean. So it's just the reverb, well, just the effects, right? I think was that one being used? I don't think it was. Oh yeah, that was the whooshy sound thing. This one's the only one that's not being used. It wasn't there, but I took it out because it was glitching out. So this is just the wet of the effects, which is, and then you can just mix in the dry. So I really like that. Like, that's something I like doing on a track by track basis, and I think I've always been wanting it. I would love to be able to do that per track, and you can't, but you can kind of get close-ish by having, like here on the snares. Let's mute this. On the snares, it's got like, so this is this acoustic snare, but the level's really, really low, but the effects are really high. So you can kind of sort of trick it to be very effect driven and not be much dry signal there at all, but it's not quite the same. So at least with that on the master you can do it, which is kind of cool. Something like in that, whether I'd use it much or not, I don't know, but to be able to kind of shift maybe between a few sounds and then, on a dial is pretty useful. Doesn't mean you can't use a compressor though, but then I probably wouldn't, because I'm not a big fan of it. Although, to be fair, right, I should probably check that they've maybe tweaked that as well. That's a good point. It didn't put any LEDs on it though. For people for Elektron who like flashing, I would expect some readout for what's being compressed. But anyway, it's pretty cool. What else have I got here? So I've got I've got this acoustic snare that's just kind of like fading in and out. Bit kind of like it was very much Richie Hawtin's kind of is it Spastic, his track? I forget what it's called. I think it is. That's like so it feels weird saying that word now. that track with all the snare drums. It was kind of a bit like that for a while, and I kind of got bored because it's been done better than I could do it. So it's kind of the remnants of that. It's kick drum, this sort of bass tom, which is very, you can hear, right, that kick is very much like, reminds me of the Sheet 1 kick a little bit in the helicopter track or whatever it's called. And I got some what else have I got? Some hats that are kind of okay, fine. And the open hat, and then I've kind of put stereo on the cymbal, which I thought sounds quite cool, kind of maraca-esque. I think I've like softened it a bit on the amplitude. This is cool. So I've played around with the cowbell before. This one. I've played around with the cowbell before, but I don't remember it sounding this good. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I kind of remember this, maybe? Was this there before? I don't know. It didn't sound this good. So it feels very like Landcruising, Carl Craig's album Landcruising, if you've heard that. If you've not, go check it out. And like the early 69 stuff he did with I think he'd done an album called, it was like a mixture of all his 12 inches. I want to say Sound of Music or something, that come out just before, but that used to be played loads when I was a nipper. I need to put it on again actually, but it has a lot of that kind of like clean, lots of white noise, lots of Prophet stuff, and this kind of like rolling stuff. This sort of track I've been playing around has definitely got some inspiration for that. This reminds me of that a little bit. Like I think he used these very kind of thin kind of synth sounds, but yeah, Carl Craig's stuff was amazing. I haven't heard his stuff recently, but I'm sure it's bloody amazing. That guy's just too good, really. But yeah, this is quite cool. Kind of into this. So just some basic sort of filter stuff. What were we, 14? Like, that's the thing, right? I don't remember it being this flexible. Like, you could maybe find a sweet spot, but what I'm finding now is there's way more sweet spots in this machine than there used to be. Like, you can really... Did they tweak the filter, maybe? I don't know. Like, this is a cowbell. This was never this good, right? I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. I deliberately looked at what those settings were so I can remember, but I've already forgot. So that's the cowbell. The toms sound really good. I don't remember the toms sounding this good either. Got a bandpass on them, which does make a massive difference. Maybe I just never did that. So yeah, I don't know. But that sounds cool. Another one, a lower one. So this reminded me how this has basically been what it's like. I've been having like a little sound, and I think, man, I could just play around with these two sounds for ages. And I was like, I want to add more stuff just for the sake of the video and exploring the stuff that's been upgraded. But yeah, I could just listen to this. It sounds cool. I like it. Mid-tom's probably a bit loud, but whatever. So there's some performance stuff on here. I think it's basically like some volumes for the synth that's on here that I'll get to in a minute, and then some stuff on the sorry, my cough. There's some stuff on the filters or something, if I remember. I think it's on this one. Yeah, there's some. So like just being able to like push it into different frequencies, but then adjusting the volume and just driving into stuff. I've been using this like almost like an auxiliary send recently, which it's been really exciting. So maybe just so I've had a break from this machine for a bit. Well, I've been playing live with it, but I've not been like making new stuff on it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe it always sounded this good. It's just me. So that's pretty cool. There's this noise thing, which I think this is what I started with from memory. This was in something else. It's been quite through it's been through quite a few iterations. Very I don't know. It is what it is. It's there's a white noise Kyle Craig thing of it, but it's a bit more like, I don't know, a bit more sci-fi maybe, or a bit more Speedy J's like Ginger or something, or the one that come after it, G-Spot I think it was. That kind of, I don't know, that kind of sound design world, I suppose. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And then the synth thing, which is definitely like Atlas Kyle Craig but detuned. Think that if you've heard that, if you haven't, that's such a beautiful track. Got that kind of thing going on. Also reminds me a bit of the sort of weird modular stuff that Juan Atkins would do with Moritz von Oswald. I forget what that album was. I used to listen to that loads. Quite recent, white cover. That'll narrow it down. I couldn't have done many together, to be fair. Borderland, I think it was. Maybe I should get sick more often. I think I'm remembering all these names. Yeah, this has been quite cool. So they've got extra synths in there. So before you just had the dual VCO, which now is a Psy dual VCO, but they've also got a Psy Raw, which I'm pretty sure wasn't in there before, and a Psy chip, which is really cool. So you can do some pulse width modulation stuff on there. There's some broken chip sound in there. It's very flexible. It's like the chip, Psy chip, just in of itself is just elaborate, like deep. There's so many waveforms in there, and it's powerful as well. Really like kind of low quality, old kind of N64 N64, C64, Commodore 64 kind of territory. The SID Station Elektron did, I think it was called, it would come out one of their first. I think it was their first actually. I do remember that coming out. So it's kind of like a nod to that. So it's really cool that they've put that in there, because there's so much you can do with waveforms, and I was forever putting waveforms in this to try and get more out of it, and the fact that it's so easy just to whack some waveforms in there for us to use. I'm really pleased they've done that. The Psy Raw though is really cool. The graphics have been tweaked, so it's a bit easier to see like reset waveforms, which I like. But it just sounds really good. Like I've not used the dual VCO since. I'm assuming it sounds the same. I need to check that. But these new ones sound very sculptable, very cool. So just like, it's like getting a new synth. It's just like, oh wait, I can go into this sort of space now sonically. Like when I got like the Korg, the Carp Odyssey, they call it, like the Korg's ARP Odyssey. As soon as I started using it, I was like, oh, Kraftwerk, right, I can hear it now. That kind of like sort of old school electronic sort of sci-fi kind of world, and some orbital stuff, because they used the 2600. It's got that, you can kind of hear certain qualities that you can't get in other synths, just because of electronics and whatnot. I think it's really cool that they've kind of put this in. It's like a completely different box. It looks different all of a sudden. So it's cool. This has got actually, this is the reason this is interesting. I used the slew, although I haven't actually got it on. I used the random tuning thing, because I think they've done something with this as well, because they've got like scaling and stuff in there, and they've sorted out tunings, because I think that was always something a bit weird with it. It would always be a bit like out of tune. Not that I was particularly fussed, but it does sound better. So I don't remember being able to make that kind of quality of sound before, just using random. It was always random, was just you couldn't get anything good out of it. It was just like, I don't know, it was random, but it was sort of shit. So they've done something there. And also this is really only on 4, so like you can really go to some extreme, crazy pitches that you just couldn't do. You just couldn't do that before. I'm sure you couldn't. So that's really, really cool. A lot more sound design possibilities, which was always the problem I found with it, that you have a machine that wants you to do sound design to get more out of it, and then it limits you on what you can sound design with, which is kind of crazy. So I'm really pleased they addressed that. The other cool thing is the sample thing, which I haven't used in this, but I have played around with it. in that you can sort of sample in, sample in basics, however many steps. It's a bit crap that they've done it like this, so it's 1, 2, 4, 8. You could have just done it numbers, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Seems odd. Also, one step, you can't run the sequencer for one step, so that's kind of interesting. It's always 2. So yeah, maybe that could have been implemented a bit better. But I'm not fussed to have something that's 16 steps, sample it, whack it back in. Like, so I've been doing a lot of prep for live stuff, having to use Ableton Live and then transfer it over to the rhythm, and then it's just an extra step, whereas at least this I could kind of just work with 16 steps or whatever, and then just shorten it, and it won't play past that point anyway if it's triggered. So that's really cool. And just to be able to kind of like function hit sample and it know it's recording in the background, and then just save to a pad and playing, using the pattern to play the sample alongside the synth. It's just, that's just really slick. So I like that. But yeah, I hope they do just make that a little bit better, because it's not something that's CPU intensive. It's just thought. But yeah, I'm not complaining. It's amazing. This machine's dirty though. It's been out on the road. I've been rabbiting on for a while. I'm dehydrated. I'm going to leave it here. So I wanted to get something up and just get back in the flow of doing videos again. Make sure the equipment still works. And play around with the new machine. So I hope it's been enjoyable. I hope if you've got one or a friend who's got one, you can play around with it. Really, really cool. And nice to see that Elektron are kind of supporting their old machines. Although, you know what I mean, they're still selling them. So like, it is what it is. They're trying to, they just need to sell product, aren't they? They're not just going to let it go for nothing. But it's cool. They didn't have to do this stuff, and the fact they do is makes me happy. I'm not an Elektron fanboy by any means, but it makes, the box has got extra legs, it's an extra bit of life to it. So that's cool. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there and see if I can make something as I close out. But hopefully see you sooner than rather later. Nice one. Cheers.